Hey one hail, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to do one of the most epic reviews we've ever done here on the channel when we look at everything to do with this set, this big boy. It is the Haslab Victory Saber with all of the size comparisons, with all of the value analysis, with all of the features, all of this guy, everything to do with him will be our focus in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one hail, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, light 'em up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton. It lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that in the description down below. Also in the description down below. And if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link, check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through Spring, or of course hit the join button right here on YouTube at any given time and become a channel member. I'm going to mention this now. We're going to keep this short because there's a lot to explore here and a lot to kind of analyze. So I'm going to show him next to a bevy of Autobot leaders. We're going to see what his stature and stance is like. We're going to see all of the modes, of course, and all of the features. I'm going to do the math of how I see the valuation of this guy to see if we reach the 180 or not. And if we don't, how close do we get? But there's one thing, I suppose, that I don't really show that I'm going to mention right now. The V-Lock cannon. The back piece can flip down and a front piece can flip up. That kind of goes over his hand and over his elbow. It takes away the elbow mobility, but I mean, you can do it for him to hold it properly. I don't show that. Now, that said, I'm going to take it out and I'm going to fold this back up and I'm going to fold that piece back up. I also don't talk about this peg on the side. That peg on the side naturally could go in his hip, no problem. And the reason I'm showing him combined here now is because if you want to not have it in his hand, you can also, by rights, take it and put it across his back. I don't show those two features. How is my QC? Did I have issues with that? What about the Micromasters? How are these guys individually? How are they combined? How are they with the stand? All of that stuff. What about the artwork? Because, I mean, that's stuff that was commissioned. There's a lot of value to explore here. Is it enough? Did it work out well? Well, we're about to find out when we head over to the table and take a closer look at this set. And so here we are with the moment of truth, the review of the Haslab Victory Saber, the whole shebang. I have kind of been on a journey for the last year. Unlike most people, I didn't automatically say, oh my goodness, this is amazing and fantastic. Oh my goodness, I'm going to back this 100% and I'm going to be so happy about it all, because I'm not blind, I'm analytical, as you all know. And I don't think that Haslab is good business. I don't think it's respecting the fans. If anything, I think it's a method of business that is pretty dubious for a company most recently valued at $9 billion. They definitely underestimated the demand. I can guarantee you, I know for a fact of multiple people who did not back this, who 100% would have bought it had it just been a mainline release. I don't think anything should be Haslab. I don't think it should exist. I don't think Pulse should exist. I've said this a million times. Nevertheless, this was an experiment in how I would feel about, doing something that goes against my grain business-wise, and whether or not I feel there is actually the value for money here. We're going to do the math as we go through. This was $180 US. Let's see if that value is there. Of course, I'm going to be adjusting some things because there's so much to cover and I want to be as timely as I can. But we are going to see these guys lined up with the rest of the Autobots / maximal leaders that I have and kind of see who's missing, so to speak. We'll see how it fits in and whatnot as we go. So, without any further ado, let's do the very first thing first, which is going to be that packaging. So the very first thing of note, to note, is this artwork. This is, by my understanding, the artwork that was commissioned by famed Transformers artist Guido Guidi, that's my understanding. I'm sure he was paid a commission amount for this. This is a poster. Mine is a bit bent down here on the corner. The teaser, of course, for Death Source up top. I don't know what this is. It's Cybertronian. I don't care. I'm not looking it up, but I mean, obviously it's Japanese. It's probably Victory. I assume it's Victory. Of course, we have our lads down here along with Holi and Fire. So, you know, it is what it is. Again, we have to take note, though, that this is not just your run-of-the-mill art. This was, you know, a specific commission piece for this. So I'm just going to lay that aside. Here, of course, we have that same commission piece. We have the line art all in this fancy metallic embossed, maybe, sort of overlay. You can feel the texture difference too between the matte black and the metallic here. Both of the lads there. When we come to this side, we see Saber, we see Victory Leo, we see the Brain of Courage, we see the two Micromasters, you know, shown there on this side. Of course, it just says Transformers and the big Victory in that metallic, and then on the back, as you would expect, we have the kind of whole of Star Saber, well, Victory Saber. We have the whole of Victory Saber together here in both modes. Plus, for those who would be interested, for those who would want it, we know that we can, I guess I'll slide this out. By the way, this is the box and packaging for the rest of the guy. Like, we would have stuff packed away in right there, and we would have had stuff packed away down here. I naturally have it all out, but certainly well packaged. At least mine was. This box, as we all should know by now, can also open up and open out and flip around so that it's more indicative of the original G1 Japanese Star Saber artwork, or Victory Saber artwork. I guess the Victory Saber artwork. It's indicative, certainly, of that, so you have the reversible thing. Now, why do I know all this about the packaging and that artwork? Because this is a commission, this is considered value. And as much as you could have just put it in a brown mailer for me, and I don't think it adds value, there are people out there who this will add a lot of value to, because they're art collectors, or they're in-box collectors, or whatever. So I'm going to ascribe this, especially since it was a commission, this and the poster, you know, it is a fancy packaging. We have to ascribe it value. I don't think it adds it, but I'm going to ascribe, somewhat arbitrary, $20. I'm going to say that, you know what, by the time you take whatever the commission that was paid to Guido Guidi was, and you divide it up over all the backers, probably about $20 a piece, right? Roughly. For all of this. So that's what I'm going to ascribe, and I think I'm being fairly conservative with that. So that means we still have 160 to account for. Is the first 20 somewhat dubious? Yes, because it depends on how much value you put into a box. And we're going to start off small, get these guys out of the way. This, of course, is Holi, the police car, who, here in North America, with a little bit of a different recolor, we tend to know as Stakeout. And Fire, who still has his hands excitedly over his head from the opening there. But Fire, who we tend to know better as Red Hot or Red Heat, sometimes he's called over here. Now, here's one of the things that I like. It was announced after the backing for Death Source that we're getting the other two members of this rescue team, right? If we want to pair them with Holi and Fire, of course it's going to be Peepo and Boat or Boater. If we want to pair them with Stakeout and Red Heat or Red Hot, then it's going to be probably names that are better known to most people: Fix-It, the Ambulance, and Sea-Watch, the Boat. I looked at the G1 versions of that set a long time ago. It's going to be nice to be able to have all four members of that group updated. Now, comparatively, this is about $10 in value. Why do I say that? Because if you've done the exchange rate and whatnot at the time for a 2-pack of Micromasters, for US value, it was $10. I'll give $10 in value there. So far we have 30 accounted for. What's the quality of these guys? I love the paint on them. It's really great. So I'm going to give that a 10 because they look like the characters. So let's start with Holi first. So Holi is basically the leader of the rescue team. Trust me, he reminds everybody of it. He's young, so is the entire rescue team, but he is, you know, quick on his feet. He's a fast thinker and pretty resourceful when things are serious. Generally, he hangs out with Saber's adopted son Jan. But, you know, I mean, it is what it is. Oh, and he has a girlfriend on the planet Micro. I think her name is Clipper. But yeah, like I was saying, in terms of look and paint, like, I mean, this is about as ideal as I could want for him. I mean, maybe the Autobot symbol on his chest, but I mean, we have the screw there, so it would be difficult to pull off. I could take stakeout out of it, by the way. But otherwise, it's pretty good. Now, that being said, while I think the look is a 10, let's talk about the articulation. The arms on this guy, they can go all the way around and out to the side just fine. No waist. Now, and we do have a knee, very deep knee because of transformation. Now, that being said, the legs out to the side only go out about that far, but it is what it is. And I shaved some of the plastic off up by the hips because when I was bringing a leg forward, it couldn't go forward. It would just pop off the ball joint. Instead, in fact, it still likes to pop off the ball joint, but just not as much. So that's a bit of a nuisance. I mean, it's an old issue and it's a minor issue, but again, for something that's $10 in value, for something that is meant to be part of a premium release, so to speak, I think that that's a real shame. If 5 is what I generally give, because, I mean, there's no elbows and stuff, it's limited, right? If 5 or 6 is generally what I give for a Micromaster, then this guy's probably a 4 because of the legs popping off, right? The transformation is pretty simple. Again, we put the arms down to the side, we bring this up over, and the arms should be able to kind of go in there on the side. We put the legs here together, and we bring them up and over. And boom, there is our police car, right? I mean, it doesn't roll the best. It's okay, it's all right. But it certainly looks the part for him. Then we get to this guy. Again, two different, like, I'll use them as two different characters, right? And they do have enough of a deco difference that, like, I think that that's acceptable. In terms of fire, and in general, fire is, like, supposed to be someone who, like, helps rescue people rather than go into combat and battle, right? Taking this guy out of it. But for the look, I mean, the down on his toes by right should be that light blue, but I mean, I get why it's white. The window on his legs is blue as it should be, the white on the legs, the blue on the pelvis, the white on the chest. All that's pretty much right. The red arms, the blue hands, like, he's a 10 for the look. In terms of the articulation, the arms are very limited, only out to there, but so's Fire's. I mean, the Micromasters they're what they are, right? They're cute, but they're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. The legs can go well out to the side. They can go, you know, they can go forward pretty far. You could probably push it a bit more if you wanted to. The knee also bends. The whole back piece here, that can move all the way around, and I can even get it out of the way to help with the transformation. So I'm going to do that now real quick. In terms of the articulation, it's a 4, I guess, again, maybe a 5. You know, it's nothing spectacular. Then we open these out, and I'll bring that up over, and we slide that piece in, and I bring this up over, and we should be able to slide that piece in, and then I should be able to put the legs together. Now, once they are down. Once all that's down, this is over, that's in. I'm going to also open out. This. Open that out. And make sure that's in on the side. That's in on the side. And boom, he is done. Now, here's the thing. The very front of this guy has a little gap on it. I have done some work on the peg. It does not like to stay there. It likes to push out. I do not have that problem with red heat. I don't know why I have that problem with this guy. It's better than it was, but some people's are completely pushed apart. It's wild. It's okay. I think he is a little more successful. Neither of these are perfect. They're $10 in value, but they're not perfect. Overall score for the Micromasters is going to be somewhere around a 5-ish, right? They are what they are. So far we have $30 in value. We haven't gotten to the main thing yet. And again, as a reminder, this is arguable, right? And here we have Star Saber. Now, this guy was touted as being a leader class, which would mean at the time that he was, being backed and whatnot, the going price for a leader in the US, my understanding, was $50, which means this guy should be $50 more in value, right? The traditional mass of a leader class is 315 to 325 grams. This guy with everything here except for the base, we'll talk about the base in a second, like just the main guy with his shield, with the sword, with his blaster, and one blast effect, clocks in at 565 grams of plastic. He is much more than a leader. I have to be honest, he is much more than a leader. Largely because there's a lot packed in his body because of the Brain of Courage, because of the apparent deluxe class Saber that's in there, right? So, I mean, you have a very smaller than Titan Master, as well as a deluxe, as well as the big guy. So it's a hefty leader. I'm going to actually, and there's like a fair amount of paint on it, I'm going to ascribe this $60 in value. Because it is bigger. I have to give credit where credit is due. It almost pains me to say it, but it is significantly more plastic here than we typically get for a leader. So, why do I have the stand here? Because we're going to talk about that now. So far, for anybody keeping track, we've accounted for $90 in value. The stand itself, I have looked at stands. I'm going to ascribe $10 in value to it, honestly, because that's what the going rate is for a lot of stands. Yes, you can get more expensive ones, but you can get ones that work just fine for about $10. So, again, we're at 90, now we're at a square $100 in value so far. Again, remember, some of that is debatable. I'm giving it value because as a company doing up their math, they would give it value, right? Okay, so the way that this works is there's a hole right in the very lower part of his pelvis, and there is a peg right there, and you really just slide the whole thing on. Of course, this, along with this little piece back here, can be rearranged for when he's in his jet mode, for it to be displayed in another manner. We'll talk about that later, but for now, that's how this stand goes. So we're going to get that out of the way, and we're going to focus on Star Saber himself. Actually, we're going to start off with the very smallest, being the Brain of Courage. Okay, so we're actually not going to start with the Brain of Courage. We're going to start with Star Saber altogether, because why not? Stay with me. So in terms of the look, he's a 10. I gotta say, he's an absolute 10. I do have a little notch in the blue over here, but nothing worth talking about. The red is accurate. The gunmetal gray or black, I'm cool with the gunmetal gray, is accurate. Even on the venting, the blue is accurate. The yellow, the blue thighs, the red pelvis with all of the yellow highlights, all of that is accurate. The chest with the red, the thruster highlights, and the white over here, all accurate. The gold leafing, I have a little bit of a raggedy edge. I've heard of scratches on the gold leafing. I've heard of scrapes. I've heard of it missing. I've heard of it just flaking off. I've heard of a lot of things with it. Mine is pretty much fine. The red here with the Autobot symbol, the red up here, and the blue, all accurate. Mine's fairly clean, fairly crisp. Then the gunmetal gray here, at the elbow here, the silver on the face, the blue eyes, the red helmet with the yellow highlights, all accurate. All of that is accurate. So, yeah, 10. What about the articulation? Well, the head can go left and right. It can look up, but when you do, you see Saber's noggin inside there just a little bit. The arms go all the way around. We get a double elbow to slightly over 90 degrees, a wrist swivel, and opening and closing fingers. I mean, out to the side, that's as far as you're getting. That's it. That's all you're going to get out to the side. Which is disappointing. There should have been a flap or something here. That's a big bummer that it's such a limit out to the side. The waist is pretty free-flowing. Does it? Yeah, it hits a limit because of the backpack, but I mean, like, do you really need more than that? And I guess you could move the backpack maybe if you wanted to get it a little more out of the way. Let's put that up over. These can go all the way around, if I didn't say that, by the way, on ratchets. Also, in an attempt to be able to have him dual wield his sword, which he can kind of do, there's a butterfly joint out and then a butterfly joint out this way. So that allows the arm to get across the body. This one over here, I mean, butterfly joint out and out again. But you can see, like, you can get them there, but you'd have to really put the sword in the hands to really sort of hold them in position. It's a little dubious. It's doable, but a little dubious. I'm not bothering to do it right now. You get the idea. Let me put that one back in. There. Getting that out of the way. Hip skirt. That can go out to the side. It can come down. Knee to, I'm going to say about 88 degrees. Everybody says 90, but it's not quite 90. There's a tab right there, and that tab keeps it from going 90. It can go back only that far. It can go forward all the way. Thigh swivel. I think I showed out to the side. That's really got to be that way for his base mode. There's a little bit of ankle tilt, but nothing much. It's pretty good articulation. I wish the range of motion was better on a couple of things, like that outward motion of the shoulder. I wish the knee was a little deeper. So there's a couple of things that I think they could have done a little bit better. I know that we're at $100 worth of value, but I think there's a little bit they could have done better. The look is a 10. The articulation is 8.5, 8. I'm going to say 8 actually. Yeah, and it's because, not because of missing joints, it's because the range of motion is a little limited. So we have a 9 overall for this guy now, for my copy, because I've avoided a lot of QC. A lot of people, for example, in here, these two panels are like both the left panel or both the right panel, and it's a nuisance for those people. Also, these were really, really tight in a video that was done by the designers and stuff, and they said that they would loosen it up by the release. I think they're a little too loose now. Mine like to come undone very, very, very easily. No big deal at all. The transformation, we'll talk about all of that after, right? So far, pretty good, right? A 9, right? But again, that's very dependent on a lot of things. So I'm going to take that off. That's his head. By the way, just so you know now, because I'll forget it later for sure, the mask does come up and like cover over his eyes and stuff, and you can really bring like his antenna forward, right? So that's basically the head transformed. I use it in that manner for everything. Then we come here and there's a rectangular tab into a rectangular slot there. Same thing on that side. Now, there's a release button here on the back, right here. But I gotta be honest with you, mine just comes out. I've never, ever needed to use the release button at all. Let's do the transformation to base mode, basically. So this will come up, and we open out the inner arm, and then we basically combiner wars the arm up and close that in. We should be able to close that in. Why can't I close that in? Combiner wars the arm up, and I'm not sure what's going on there now. Hold on. Oh, I don't think I got it straight. Take that up. There. And close the hand and put it in. Then over here we do the same thing. We will open that out. We're going to bring this in, close it up, and we're going to put the hands in. I'm going to rotate those this way. We're going to bring up that hip skirt and up that hip skirt. out to the side, in with the toe, in with the whole thing, out to the side, in with the toe, in with the whole thing. The head, apparently it can go up right there. And now we have the shield piece. A lot of people say their shield piece is real loose, and mine is a little bit loose, but nothing too major. We have a rectangular slot here, and they go onto those chest ones. I do find lining it up to be, I don't want to say nuisance, but it is definitely the most challenging aspect of it. But there you basically go with it in the front. I don't have it tabbed in there now, but if I do, mine actually holds quite well. I mean, it's a base mode, it is what it is. I guess if you wanted, you could always put his Saber in right there. I've seen people do that because there is a peg hole there on the wing. Same with the blaster, it can go over on the other one. I've also seen some people take this piece and they just put it in behind. And I've seen some people, hold on. And I've seen some people who also will take, and I didn't show this, will take this piece and bring it down on the back as a stabilizer, because otherwise, as you probably saw, he does like to kind of lean back a little bit, so that's a bit of a stabilizer down there as well. Cool, not a problem, looks good, I'm okay with it. Let's go to the plane mode for this, and then we'll look at Saber. So, how do we do the plane mode from here? Pretty easy, actually. We're going to remove that for now. We're going to come here and kind of crack at the thigh. It's a very interesting way of doing it, very interesting hinge that I would not have expected. We will bring down the wings and bring up the little wings here. We're going to bring this piece all the way down on the back here, and then we're going to bring these pieces down, and oh, sorry, I did miss something. I got to open the inner leg here and then collapse the thigh into it and close it back up. My mistake, my mistake. So yeah, taking this up out of it, we do open the, usually this pops open when I don't want it to, but of course now it's not gonna, oh okay. So there we go. We open that panel out, we collapse, right, a la Combiner Wars. We collapse the whole thing up, close it in. There we go. Okay, so now that we got that done, now we bring these down. And really we have a tab here that goes up here. We have a tab on the side that goes in over here. Like there's a few places where this tabs in as we bring it down now. The whole thing should tab in pretty darn solidly. There, they tab in like that, and then the last thing is bringing out that knee piece. I'm going to show it all a bit better on this side. So the knee piece, we bring out here. Again, we're going to bring the, oh, before we bring this down, I forgot to mention, these hip skirts that I opened up here, they now go all the way up. I didn't show that on the other side, but yeah, they go all the way up. Then this comes down, and you line basically everything up to get it all solidified in. Make sure that's closed. That's not closed. There. Like that. Boom! Whoo! Then we take this piece and it will come down, and we take the that piece comes down, and then we take that's supposed to go there now. Yeah. So we put this piece in. For the record, you need to have the handle in this orientation where like the handle's going across the bottom for this like method anyway, right? That goes in right there, and for now you can like put the blaster up there if you want, and you can also there, put the helmet piece on for now. And I've even seen some people who have taken the sword, and I don't know where they exactly put this. Right there, maybe? Maybe that's where they put it, even though I don't find that that's a good place to put it, but I mean, it is what it is. Again, remember this piece here goes used with Saber. So what will we do with this? We'll address it in just a few minutes. For now, though, we're going to leave this. That's pretty great the way that it is. And here we have Saber. And we're going to go to his robot mode first. It's probably the best thing to do. So we bring that arm up, and we bring this arm up, and we take out a hand, and we take out a hand. There's an ab crunch in here. Kind of. A hip crunch, I guess. We bring that down. And then we come to here with the legs. I'm not going to lie. I find the legs a little bit frustrating. Also, a lot of people have had... And I don't even know why these tabs are here. Like, they don't really tab into anything. But I have seen stress marks right at a package on those. For me, I open these up and I open this out. Bring this to the side, open this out. And now we have this whole mechanism in here for the leg. Little bit cumbersome to handle. We want to get the hip sort of straightened up. This red piece here is a bit tight to get out. And once we have that done, now we should be able to work at really using this yellow hinge to get the leg up, and then we close the leg, and we can come here and bring out a toe, bring that piece up over the knee, and straighten up the toe. We're going to do the same thing over here. We open it out, we get that red piece out, we use this yellow hinge to get the leg up. We close that over. We bring this up over the front of the shin, that tab, or panel, and then we open out his foot. And we could take his nose cone thing and put it on his arm as it's supposed to be. He can hold his blaster in his hand. He could even hold the V-Lock cannon in his hand. I'm going to stand him up and we're going to talk about his scores. And here we have Saber, who is apparently a deluxe. He clocks in at 73 grams. To me, that doesn't count. To me, that's less than, because a traditional deluxe is 84. I wouldn't really call it a deluxe. Though I will admit that there is more paint on this guy than we typically get on most deluxes. That said, the only way that this guy really counts as a deluxe is if you consider Cliff Jumper or Reflector, for example, to be a deluxe, right? And that's up to you. I don't. There's no added value here because it's part of what was the value for Leader Class Star Saber as a whole, which I already ascribed $60 to. To be fair, we are currently sitting at 100, remember? So you can see him there next to Sonic Bomber and Road, I can't remember what his name is. They're the guys that are with Big Powered, right there. They buddy around with Die Atlas. Figured it was kind of an apt comparison to make. So I'm just going to take those guys out of it. I think the transformation is pretty great, honestly, here. I did fiddle a little bit with the legs and that yellow hinge until I kind of got the knack for it. But other than that, this is pretty great. Like I said, I've heard of people having a stress mark on one of the inner tabs there, but it doesn't seem to affect anything. Mine doesn't have it. However, my left arm was frozen. It was not going to move at all. I had to pop the arm off and do a fair amount of sanding on that ball joint, like quite a bit. It's definitely much better now, but That said, it's much tighter than this arm over here. So, I mean, you know, it is what it is. Okay, let's do scores. In terms of look for the guy, this is pretty fantastic, actually. Right down to the little detail under the yellow on his knee, the white, the yellow detail on his pelvis, the white detail all on his torso and the Autobot symbol, the white arms with the hands and the little bit in there. I mean, it's 10. Transformation, I think, is fun. I think it's pretty intuitive. I'm going to call it a 10 as well. And the articulation, the head goes left and right. By the way, I'll show it after. As you know now, these arms can go all the way around, out to the side. Depending on if you want to use the ball joint, you could probably get even a little bit more. But that's up to you. 90 degrees at the elbow, swivel. It's too bad that this is hollow. There should have been a flap or something there. The wrist have a bit of a rotation, which is pretty cool. I dig that for sure. The hips out to the side, no problemo. Back a little bit, forward a lot. Thigh swivel, knee to under 90 degrees. Again, that's a little bit of a bummer. No toe tilt on this guy. I'm going to say, again, the articulation, it's mostly there. You can get most of what you want. A couple of range of motion limits. No, kind of surprised that there's no ankle tilt there. Oh, no, there is an ankle tilt. I'm sorry. There is an ankle tilt. I apologize. Any waist? Yeah, and there's a waist if I didn't say so. It's all there. Slight range of motion at the knee is an issue. The ball joint was a little bit of an issue on this left shoulder over here. I'm going to say it's a 9. You know, we have an 8, we have a 9, or we have a 10, we have a 9. The transformation, I think, is fun and intuitive. I'm going to give that a 9. So we have a 9 for articulation, a 9 for transformation, and a 10 for the look. 9.5 really for the guy. I'm going to take that off of his arm, and we're going to open this up. Mine's quite tight. The movement of the head is left and right. And that's because we have the entire brain of courage in there. I don't know if you saw that or not. Left and right because of the brain of courage. I find to get the brain of courage out, I need to use the like little blade thing there and get it out. And I'm going to leave it out for now. We'll look at him in a moment. Let's do the transformation to like the plane mode, we'll say. And we put these in, and we put these in. We open up this, and we open up this. We bring it down, and we bring it down. We're going to close these back in, and they will tab into one another. Straighten that up a little bit, and lay that there and lay that there. Actually, there's 2 wings here that we want to separate. Bring this out, bring this out, bring this down on the side, and this down on the side. And we put this piece in on the 2 shoulder pieces. People have had issues with those not being cut out. Mine are fine. This, in the end, boom, is the plane, and I think it looks really great. Let's look at the brain of courage next. And here we have the brain of courage. The transformation is very simple. It just flips back on this pin. Some people have said that that pin is very tight on theirs. He should have yellow up on the crest of his head. His face should be silver with a blue visor. There should be red on the shoulders. There should be white just to the side of the gold on his chest. There should be yellow detail on the knees. Naturally, this is tiny. It's about half the size of a Titan Master. Ball jointed arms. So like they can move about the same as a Titan Master. No knees, but pinned at the hip so he can get in a seated position so he can actually sit inside the Saber plane as part of Star Saber, right? I'm not really going to score this because, you know, it's as good, I think, as they could do for something this tiny. Maybe again, the little bit of added paint apps would have added a little more value. I think that was a missed opportunity for what that's worth. Also, just out of interest sake, he goes in there and this goes down over, right? And that's where he's going to stay. I probably got to adjust him here a little bit, but basically, once he's in here and settled, there we go. That's where he's going to stay. And now we're going to connect this to the big plane. To do that, we have to put the front wings up thusly, and we're going to take all of the back wings and bring them down on the side, and then all of this is going to kind of slot into the bigger body of Star Saber. For those wondering basically how this secures, we basically have a little rectangular slot here and a little rectangular slot here, and inside the body we have a rectangular tab back here and a rectangular tab back here that goes into that. Now, when you put it in, you do want to really kind of try and solidify it around this as well. It stays in pretty securely once you do it, so I'm just going to try and do it here now for you. I don't know if it will succeed or if I'll have to do it off camera. Let's attempt it. So this should come in, go all the way down, solidify in, these go in around. By the way, remember I mentioned that blade earlier from his sword. I find the best thing to do is to put it down there and solidify it in thusly. I find that that works best. And we can even put it on the stand so it looks like this. Also, just so we're all clear, on the pelvis there's a rectangular slot. On this clear piece there's a rectangular peg. It slots in here. A lot of people say it just rests there. No, it slots in. Then we take this piece and it goes down over the top here, thusly, like that. And boom, here we have him on the stand in his vehicle mode. And honestly, this is an impressive half to this set. Overall score for Star Saber is a 9. He is a solid, large leader class. Slightly less than a full-on commander class, right? Which is why I gave him more value than a leader, but less value than a commander, right? So, yeah, okay, cool. I like this. Good start, a 9. You know, 60 in value for him, another 10 for the stand. That's 70 in value right there in front of you. We already did 20 for the kind of box and like custom artwork, right? And 10 for the 2 Micromasters. That's where we stand. So we're doing okay. We still don't have $80 in value that we gotta make up for, and that brings us to kind of part 2 and this guy. Good old Victory Leo. Now, to do Victory Leo properly, he should have the V-Lock cannon with him. He should have his 2, I can't remember what they're called, like V cannons or something. I mean, this all got, like, you know, proper names. Like, I think Star Saber is the, like, V-Star Jet or whatever. But, nevertheless, this guy should come with the V-Lock cannon. He should come with these. And, you know, we'll ascribe blast effects to him. He was touted as a Voyager. However, with everything here, he clocks in at 300 grams. Significantly more than the traditional 145 to 165 of a Voyager. Plus, this guy also had a slight sticker sheet to put red detailing up here. I already applied those stickers. Some people have painted the unpaintable plastic. And there is a fair amount, to be fair, of paint included here. If this guy came with everything here, then I don't think it's a Voyager. I think it's a leader, and I would have to ascribe $50 in value to it. I really would. Even if I want to knock it for being slightly lighter than he should be, than the traditional leader class mass of 315 to 325, then he's still a solid $45 in value. But I'm going to say 50 because I think the added paint really did help. Now, to get that 50, it would have to include everything that's here, right? So let's keep that in mind. I'm going to take the blast effects off for now. And I'm even going to take the V-Lock cannon off. By the way, just out of interest sake, the V-Lock cannon is large. It clocks in at somewhere like, I think 30 grams of plastic or 25, something like that. You can leave it like this, or you can do it like this. This section attaches by rights here on his back. I find it real loose. I don't really dig doing that, to be honest with you. I would just as soon put this on Star Saber's vehicle mode and leave it there. But, you know, it is what it is. This is all right. It is cast in gray. This is cast in red. This line here is painted red. This red paint is like the red paint on Legacy Wild Rider, right? So laying the VLAC cannon and that aside, by rights, according to the animation, they should be on his arm. By the way, for anybody who didn't know, this guy was once God Ginrai, and he, you know, when something happened, I can't remember, Ginrai was like, you know, going to go offline or whatever. Basically, he ended up getting remade into this guy thanks to Perceptor and Wheeljack. We'll kind of see all that a little bit later. Now, while we're at it here, let's take these off of his arms where I had them. And we're going to put them back here, of course. These, by the way, seem to be... I'm not even sure if they're cast in red. This seems like it's cast in red. All of this white is paint, but all of this red also seems like paint. And there's white in under that's also, I think, paint. It's wild the way that this is done. But there's a ton of paint on these, and mine's fairly crisp. Some people's have not been. So we're going to take that and put it in there, and we're going to take this and put it in there. And this is the way a lot of people know Victory Leo to look. Let's talk about scores for this guy now. So, Victory Leo, starting from the feet and going up, the red toes, the red highlight here, the yellow on the knee, the yellow on the side, the black, all correct. The white thighs, correct. The gray hip blasters, I guess we'll call them, correct. The gray hands, correct. The yellow, correct. The black, correct. The red on the outside, correct. The white, the black, all that, good. The yellow, the red detailing here, the white on the sides here. The leafing, again, mine is pretty good, but I've heard of a lot of issues with scraping and that sort of stuff on this guy. My head is good. Some people have said that when you take this piece down over the face for transformation, it scratches the face. I'm not sure how. I'm not even 100% sure the face is painted. It just seems like white plastic to me. It might be painted. I don't know. But 10 for the look. It is undoubtedly Victory Leo. What about the articulation? Well, these can move back and forth a little bit. These can move all around and unplug and come up over his shoulders as well. The arms, I mean, technically the shoulder can go all the way around. You might have to finagle around the wing a little bit. We have an elbow over 90 degrees, which is nice. Bicep swivel, wrist rotation. No waist. That's the big bummer here. No waist because of the transformation. That's the one big bummer. I wish there was a waist, but I understand why they couldn't fit it in. I really do. Very tight hip forward. I've heard that you can slightly loosen the screw back here and the ratchet isn't as tight. Hip all the way back. And okay, I forgot about this. So see if I can handle this. So hip only goes out that far to the side, okay? But if you want to get a greater range, I mean, you can technically do that. It breaks the sculpt something fierce, but you can do it to get a full range on that hip. If I'm being fair and honest, 90 degrees at the knee, and toe tilt, not ankle tilt, but there is a toe tilt that does help with solidity and stability a little bit. Waist. Dude's missing a waist. Even the limitation I wanted to knock it for on the hip, I kind of can't because I sort of understand it. I'm going to have to give it a 9. Honestly, I'm going to have to give it a 9. It's only missing a waist. That's it. What about the transformations? Well, let's do the transformation, or at least a couple of them. We're going to go to the line first. So we bring that down over his face, as a lot of people have been worried about. These, like, tusks, I guess, come out, and you can open his mouth a little bit. Now, I've heard of tolerance issues with the tusks. One of them just falling out. I've heard of this nose piece just coming off. Hasn't happened to mine, at least not yet. Angle those wings up. We're going to take the arm forward and we turn the wrist. By the way, there is wrist swivel if I didn't say that previously, though I think I did. We bring that up in the forearm. There's paw out. Again, we turn at the wrist and we bring that up and there's another paw out, right? So we have two paws now. Two paws, no waiting. We open up the back of the leg and we open up the back of the leg. We can even, if we want, unfurl that leg now before we got to deal with this up here, right? And unfurl that cat leg. We can put the toes up. And now we're going to collapse the leg a la Combiner Wars. It's a little bit of a nuisance, I do find, to do it. There we go, we got it in. When we bring this down, there's a tab here. I find that to lock it in, this needs to go behind that tab. So we got that in, and we get this down, and we got that in. And boom, that's his first mode. Now, as I say this is done, I mean, it's only really kind of sort of done. Hold on. I don't think I got that one actually locked in exactly right. Not like this one over here. There we go. I say it's all done, and I say boom, here's his cat mode, but really, this is supposed to go on. So I'm gonna kind of show it right here. This whole piece, if I can get it to do it now. This whole piece can come down thusly. Here, I'm going to try and get this, and even this, up out of the way. Then this should go down over that. Now I find on mine, I find it super duper loose. And I'll bring that back, and I'll bring that back. But by rights, trying to straighten all that up. And this fell off. See what I mean? Like this is really, really loose. Like almost unworkably loose. But by rights, boom, that is the proper look for the lion mode, if you will, right? So I don't know. I guess it's okay. I guess it's neat enough. You can put blast effects in there if you want. Taking that off, because it's super loose anyway, let's do the plain mode, if we can call it that. We're going to open those out. You'll notice I have the stickers applied, so the entire wing is red now. This and this rotates around. The head comes up like that. In here we flip out that piece and we flip out that piece. We bring the cat paws up. We put those together. We bring the arms up. There's a little rectangular tab right there that goes into a slot up on the wing. If I can find it there now. Like that. And then I straighten that up like that. Same over here. Bring these down, by the way. And I bring all of that up. And like that. And again, I have that little tab that should go in the wing thusly. And I mean, boom, there's the plane mode, kinda. I think I gotta actually sort these. I think I made that mistake. Yeah, these need to come up. I mean, there's kind of sort of the plane mode. Actually, as I say that, I kind of rush things ever so slightly. I got to square up his hips there a little bit. And I did not put his, like, tusks back out like they're supposed to be. And if you're interested in adding the, like, V-lock cannon, it's upside down now this time. And you use basically this slot back here over this tab right here. I thought that's how you did it. Oh, it's two things. My mistake. Yes, okay, so you have this slot and you have this slot, and there's a little black section here that this goes over, and then this should go down over this right here, if I can do it. Yeah, there, like that basically. I guess I can push that down a little bit more. There. So by rights, and I guess these go all the way down. By rights now, boom, this is his plane mode. I mean, it's not very aerodynamic now, is it? But, you know, it is accurate. That's the thing. That's the key. It is accurate. Again, you could fit this out with a bunch of blast effects if you want. It's easy to go between all the modes, really. The worst thing is trying to fit on the V-Lock cannon, but I mean, you know, once it's done, it's done. Very easy, very intuitive. For me, all of the QC was good. I think the transformations are fun. I'm gonna give it a 9, honestly. Again, he had an 8, he had a 10, so he was a 9, got a 9. It's still a 9. It is what it is. What about all together though? Because remember, this goes combined with Star Saber. So I'm just gonna get this guy set up since we're here. And we're going to take that out, and I'm going to pick these up, and honestly, we're largely there. This whole section slides off. There's a couple of yellow tabs inside, and a notch here and a notch here. This just slides out, and honestly, well, I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to turn this around, and I do need to kind of make sure that that is tabbed in on that wing, because it's obviously not right now. But once it is, like honestly, this is the backpack for Star Saber done. Of course, that does leave us with these two pieces, and honestly, they just come apart. I've heard of people having issues with theirs because of this piece of plastic being warped. It hasn't been the case with mine, but we open out a toe, we fold that piece in, we leave this out because we're going to need it in a bit, and we pick up that red piece, and quite frankly, we just take the whole thing now and close it over. This rectangular tab right here is what's going to really help to solidify all of this. We use that thigh, that hinge for that thigh earlier, and we bring this down and we put it in. And like this will be a slipper, I guess, and we do the same on the other side. We're going to take that red piece out. We're going to bring this all the way down around. We're going to solidify the whole thing in. We're going to bring up a foot, and now we have a pair of slippers. Of course, I digress a little bit because we're now kind of at the last leg of this, which is how they combine together. You might notice I have them back in this plane mode, even though we've seen the way to do the transformation for robot mode, because the two planes do combine. We're going to split the legs, and we're going to put these pieces for now back in. We left them out for the like robot mode, I guess, right? And we now will use these red tabs here. There's, see if I can show this to you as I take that up. There's, on this blue piece, there are two red rectangular tabs. They will go into these two slots right here. And then these rectangular ones on the side will, in essence, slot in, maybe if I open this up you can see, slot in to this section right here on like that inner leg, right? That's basically how this should go together. I'm going to back things up because this guy gets pretty big. I don't know how well I'm going to be able to show this, but I'm gonna try. Let's see if I can. Let's see if I can get those in first. And then when I bring this down, I should be able to solidify the tabs in on that side, and please let me do it on this side as well. And get that out of the way. Turn this around, turn this around. Oop. Bring that line head back up over. And we can take our shield again, and we now move the piece down on the, nope, sorry. Move that piece down on the end instead of being in the middle. And we should, I might have to adjust exactly where that rests. There we go, I just had a little bit of tabbing to do. Then this one can go there. The V-lock cannon can go there. We can, you know, add a blast effect. Add a blast effect there, and a blast effect over. They do not want to go in today. Blast effect there, blast effect there. Like that. And one, I don't know, up right there, and another over there, and like that's pretty cool. Of course, the pièce de résistance would be putting it on the stand to look like this. And yeah, man, even I've got to admit that's one heck of a display. No doubt about it in my mind at all. This is really cool. But that leaves us with the robot combine mode. And I already showed the transformation for Victory Leo. For Star Saber, he's just Star Saber in his robot mode, and we're going to put the pieces on. So we're going to go from our boys looking like this to, and here we are again with him pretty much back in robot mode. His feet are still kind of curled up because we have to put the shoes on. Basically what happens is this red piece goes over this gunmetal gray piece. There are notches there on the side. That goes over like that, and then this comes up over the toe. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Hopefully just as easily. Bring that out. There! Yeesh! Okay, so let's go around now to the back. By the way, I didn't mention this, but you can put the sword in either of these holes on his back, like the hilt, or on his hip as well, if you're so inclined, if that's what you want to do with it. There's a lot of storage options for that, because there's a lot of 5mm peg holes on this guy. Okay, so on the back here, we need to attach, the Victory Leo piece. Hold on. There you go. That's what it is. Okay, so we take this whole piece like this. I couldn't remember how it went, but I knew I wasn't doing it right. And we get that out of the way. We take these and we will turn these around. Okay, we're going to keep them up for now. We're going to take the entire head, and it's going to come down into this cavity. And keeping this open, this whole section here is going to fit in between these two little tabs here, and the center, like 5mm peg, will go right in the center of that. Then these red pieces will come down over the shoulders to solidify the backpack in place. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this on camera, but I'm going to definitely give it a try. There, I got that in. And then this comes down and pegs in, and that also pegs in, and these can go up. I'm going to turn our boy around. I'm going to take his shield with the sword in it, and we're going to put that on over there. And I'm going to put the blast effect back in there, and then the V-Lock can, while it can go on his hip, we're going to put it in his hand like that, and boom, in the end, here we have Victory Saber. All together, he clocks in at 865 grams of plastic. To put that in perspective, Jetfire, who did come with a bevy of accessories and blast effects, clocked in at about 650 grams of plastic. He had a lot of paint and whatnot, so this is more than him. Then we have, on the far end of that spectrum, Skylynx, who was about 900 grams of plastic. But his parts count is lower, his engineering is simpler, and he doesn't have as much paint. This guy's right in the middle of that with added features and bells and whistles. And, of course, he is intended to scale, really, with these guys. Hold on, let me adjust this ever so slightly. We have my custom combiner version of Death Source. This is rough, but it's using the Desirous that was part of the Lio Kaiser set. And the rest of the Lio Kaiser set, done with all 6 members and all of the minions down on the far end. And you know what? He fits right in. He is commander size, he is combiner size. That's exactly the scale that this guy really should be. Now, the argument has been made that no, combined they should be bigger, and that Star Saber by himself should be this size. I get that, and you're probably right. Maybe this should have been a little bit bigger. And for the cost and whatnot, yeah, I could see that. Maybe the combined mode being 14, 15 inches rather than what it regularly is here. And I think that there was wiggle room to do that because I've been able to mathematically, if I stretch, come up with $150 worth of value. And admittedly, there are some people that would value things higher than I did, and there are some people that would value things lower than I did, such as the artwork. However, conservatively speaking, I can see $150 worth of value here. As such, I think he was probably overpriced by about 30 bucks. And that's why I say I think the room was there to make this guy a little bit bigger. However, when we look at him next to all of the Autobot Maximal leaders that I have, starting with, my custom Nova and Sentinel, going through to Optimus and Rodimus, then to Metalhawk for just a little bit, up to God Ginrai over there, through Star Saber, and then finally Die Atlas, all the way over to Star Convoy, and then going to Beast Wars with Optimus Primal, though I also have Optimal Optimus. And really, I need a big convoy. I don't have a big convoy, and I don't have a Lio convoy, though that'll be rectified with Legacy soon enough. I look at all of this, and I'm very happy because it is the tapestry of Autobot leadership. And I'm not gonna lie, if you want to add some value just for presence, just for standing out, if you want to add 10 bucks for that, honestly, from all of this, I think the clear standout, the clear Autobot leader with the most presence, as impressive as some of these are, has to be Victory Saber. God Ginrai, though, close second, and he was at mainline retail. Could Star Saber and Victory Leo have been at mainline retail? Yes, I think they absolutely could have, and I think they would have succeeded. Why? Because we already have a precedent for it with Minerva, with Galaxy Shuttle, and I'll even say with Perceptor and Wheeljack, since they were in it too. I know, Wheeljack was taken out in the '86 movie, but since he's my boy, I'm real happy to believe that somehow, some way he recovered and was around in Victory to turn God Ginrai into Victory Leo. That makes me very happy. A Mac Tackle would be nice, and probably a Road Caesar would be nice. You know, I can't argue it. We do have like the rocket base and stuff, so there's precedent for a lot of the Japanese stuff succeeding, and I think this guy would have been the same. Overall score for the set, a 9. It's solid if you avoid the numerous QC issues. And here we are once again, and here they are, and you know by now that I have managed to eke out about $150 worth of value, so I do think it was overpriced, probably by about 30 bucks, but you know what? I'm not really surprised. but I can eke out about 150. Now, there are people out there who will, put more value into the paint on the actual guy or into some of the features, and there are a bevy of them. Some won't put any value into the artwork. So naturally, while I did that up and did the math and did it conservatively, I honestly feel like that the things that I mentioned and did the math for are things that, really had to have certain value attributed to them, and based on comparative analysis with other items of similar value, for example, the display stand. When you look at other display stands, yeah, I think it's at least a reasonable set of math to be able to do it. Now, that being said, there's a lot of extra parts here because there is so much that has to happen, and there were definitely more molds, which may very well, I guess, make up the rest of the $30. I feel like, and I said this before, I do feel like this was more in the ballpark of a correct price-ish than that Unicron was, but I still feel like that it was overpriced. At its core, what we have here is a Commander class offering, and really a lot of people will say, well, we were charged double for that, but you have to take into account that we don't typically have a base with other Commander class offerings, most notably Jetfire. There is more mass here than Jetfire. There is more parts, there is more features, and there is more paint than Jetfire. So if we say Jetfire is 90, then I do, as much as it pains me to do so, I do have to attribute more value for the extra paint, the extra mass, and the extra features that are here. Do I think it's a full double? No, I don't. That said, my Micromasters, now that I did some shaving on them, on the plastic, they work better than they did. That said, you shouldn't have had to do anything. For paying something that was funded, backed, that they had a year to develop, that they already knew those Micromasters had certain issues, why didn't you go back and redesign, remold something? Like, to me, you should have done that. When we get to the stand is fine. Feels durable, works fine, works great. When we get to Star Saber, we'll do just Star Saber first. So Star Saber is pretty fantastic if you don't have the two left leg panels, or if you don't have the two right elbows, because I've seen that where like one arm couldn't bend up, like somebody had two like left arms or something. If you have everything toleranced and working the way it should, he's pretty good. I've seen very loose thigh hinges. Mine aren't. The leg panels in here on mine are a little loose. I've seen some that are extremely loose, so it really depends. The QC was sort of all over the map. I can only speak for my copy, and for my copy, Star Saber works quite well. The paint is mostly clean. The leafing on the chest has ever so slight of a rough edge, and this knee over here, the blue, has a little slight, I'll say, chip imperfection in it. Saber is fine. He works fine. He's a small deluxe. The Brain of Courage is fine. It's too bad that the face wasn't painted. I get that it's tiny, but you know what? Again, for the price, I think you should have at least done the face silver with the little blue visor, And I have known some people who have done that. Shout out to Grimlock Gone. But as a Star Saber, it's pretty good. My biggest gripe with the Star Saber is the articulation limits, mostly with the arm out to the side and the knee being just under 90 degrees. It's not bad. It's not egregious. But again, for a premium price, we should have had a panel here, and they should have been able to ensure that the knee could bend the entire way, if you ask me. And then we get to Victory Leo. I think he's the real star here, to be honest with you. His line mode is convincing. His plane mode, though not aerodynamic, it is accurate. All of the accoutrement that should be on him, like these missiles, these cannons, and the V-Lock cannon, all of that works with him just fine. I don't have the issue of the nose piece coming off of the line. I don't have the tusks coming out that some people have experienced. I don't have the tab where the two like core body pieces go together. None of that's warped on mine. It works just fine, just like butter. And though he was called a Voyager, he has significantly more mass than a Voyager, in the ballpark of double the mass, if you give him all the things he should have. And I do believe that both of these could have been a mainline release, honestly. And I think they would have sold. I really think they would have sold. They would have had to come with everything that I ascribed to them, but I think they would have sold just fine. They have a presence. They have a look. I think the most presence of all the Autobot leaders. They're definitely a display piece. There's no doubt about it. Then we get to Together. Together, it's very solid. Like, God Ginrai is great, but his combined mode is not solid. It's very finicky and fiddly and stuff likes to come untabbed. Nothing here comes untabbed. It's very well done. The way the feet go on, clip on the bottom, and then this goes up over the toe. It's not coming off at all. I wish we had a bit more of an ankle tilt, but that's a minor gripe. The way the backpack goes on is simple, but man, is it ever solid. If anything, it's a little bit of work to get it off. I feel like this is, you know, when I compare it to, like, Optimus when he has the Jetfire parts on him, or when I compare it to God Ginrai, or when I compare it to really any other Transformer that I have encountered where another Transformer goes on them as clothes, basically, I think this is by far the most solid, most successful I've ever personally handled. Is this perfect? No, absolutely not. For me, it's a strong contender. I gave it a 9, and I think it deserves a 9 based on my experience. However, I know a lot of people have been very hard on this, and I get the criticism. Because if you had the QC issues, if you have had misassembly issues, if you have had problems like that, then this easily is going to fall to a 4, 5, or 6, maybe even less. It's so strange. Depending on your copy, this might be one of the absolute best pickups that you've had for the year. Or, depending on your copy, it might be one of the most disappointing. All over the map. Consistency would be a lovely thing. I can only give you my take, and I've given you as truthful of a take with the analysis as I possibly can. Let me know what you think about the Haslab Victory Saber. Was your copy good or not? I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel. Also, don't forget to hit the join button and become a channel member, and especially don't forget, especially now this time of year, that somehow, some way, each and every single solitary day, you right there, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here inside the videos.